Let me ask you guys another question, shifting gears a little bit here. And Jason, I'm going to start with you on this. I think inflation is front and center right now. People are watching this so closely. We just heard Social Security is going to give its biggest COLA increase in almost 40 years, 5.9%, to deal with these higher costs that are coming along the way. You made a point earlier this week that, look, these are high-class problems to have, inflation versus 10% unemployment. And that's fair, but it may not focus enough on just how hard people are getting hit at this point, especially people at the lowest levels of income. If your gas prices have gone up, if your rent price has gone up 20%, if your grocery prices are up, those are really starting to creep up and hurt, and that can hurt a very wide portion of the population.
Yeah, Becky, you can look at my comments over the last 6 months. To understand what's going on in the economy, you need to keep two things in your head simultaneously. One is inflation is high. That inflation is a problem for families. Wages are not keeping up with that inflation. Part of why we have that high inflation is because we did too much back in March, and because the Fed is being not serious enough. You have to keep that in your head. You also have to keep in your head that people are buying more than ever before, that people got checks from the government that are much larger than the inflation that they're experiencing, that our ports are processing record amounts of containers. The issue is not that we're not able to get things through the ports, it's that we can't get so much through the ports. So people are spending more than ever before. That's a good thing. The American recovery's proceeded faster than it has in Europe. That's a good thing. With that comes a lot of problems. I think we could do a better job managing those problems while getting the upside than we've done. But big picture, I'd rather be in our situation than the situation in Europe where there's less inflation, but there's also less income and less spending.
Let's talk about what you just said, though. That's a pretty big point you make, saying that the Fed hasn't done a good job of keeping track of this. You think they should be doing a lot more, like right now? That's what Larry Summers has been saying. He thinks that they're not paying attention to inflation, that they're too woke, in his words. Their wokeness is kind of driving things.
I mean, I don't know exactly what woke means. The Fed has systematically misunderstood the economy over the course of this entire year. You look back 5-6 months ago, it was completely clear that our problem was labor supply, not labor demand, and yet they continued to diagnose it as a demand problem. They think that all the things that have been temporarily high for inflation are going to go away, but haven't adequately accounted for the things that are temporarily low, like shelter, rising. As a result, and I've said this every time they've come out with a median forecast from the FOMC this year, they've all been way too low. Even the latest one from a week or two ago, I think that's going to prove too low. So yes, I think the Fed needs a better diagnosis of what's going on, a better communication. And it remains to be seen if and when they're proven wrong, are they going to raise rates more than they said they're going to? I think that's probably what they're going to do. So I think they're probably just a couple months behind the curve is their problem. Or are they going to continue to make excuses for all of this?
Alex, what do you think?
I think really interesting comments by Jason on the Fed's behavior. I don't have anything to add on that point. With respect to what we're seeing in terms of consumer behavior, I think it's certainly true that the federal government, I should say, flooded households with cash at a time when it was difficult for many to spend that cash. As things open up and that cash becomes more available to spend, we're seeing that surge in demand, and that's driving up and contributing to some of the price changes that we're seeing.